Congratulations! You made it to your third tool in Habitat for Your Humanity. Before we get it though, let's review. The first was to stop the intake of stimuli that makes you feel bad. The second was to mind your mental, where you're going to stop the negative chatter. And the third also deals with the mind in the tricks that it can play on you. You're going to get clear about what's real and what's in your head. Let me give you an example of how the mind can play tricks on you. Take an anorexic or someone who suffers from body dysmorphia. They see themselves as something that's not real. They could be 85 pounds, but they see themselves as morbidly obese. This is just an example of how the mind is very, very tricky. We need to get out of there. We need to get clear about what reality is. For me personally, I'm 5'10", I'm very muscular, and seldom in my body I don't feel very feminine. So what I decided to do was I decided to look out when I'm in the world to find people of the same stature and build as myself and see how I related to them. And when I look at them, generally I feel like they're okay. So I have to imagine that if I turn the mirror around, if I feel like they look okay, then I must be okay. Do you see how it might work? So this is like the Swiss Army knives of the tools, because it does a number of things. First, by making you look outward to gather evidence about what is true, it gets you out of your head. It gets you out of that space that can be very nebulous and negative. The second is it makes you a little more compassionate. Oftentimes when we see other people, we can be compassionate to them, and then we have to learn how to be compassionate and accepting of ourselves. The third thing that's really great is that it creates a basis for your reality. So that's what we want to get to. Here's the way we're going to start. Remember those adjectives I asked you to gather together, the 7 adjectives, the 5 or 7 adjectives that you use to describe yourself, and the 5 to 7 adjectives that others most use to describe you. You're going to use that as your baseline so that you can get a hold on what is real. For instance, if you see yourself as stingy, and the adjectives that others most use to describe you is generous, then you have to think that maybe your head is playing a trick on you based on some other information or something that happened in your past. You need to get rid of that and get to what's real. The only way that you can make yourself better is to know what you're really dealing with. So if we can get rid of the mind and all the tricks that it plays, we can get down to the work of the hardcore facts, which means that if you do need to be on a certain regimen, be it for your body or work or getting things done, then you can start to do that. But you can't do that if your mind is like playing tricks on you. So we need to get clear. Another thing that's really great about being clear about what's real and what's in your head is that oftentimes you might find that you have less work to actually do. You're actually closer to being what you want to be once you clear out all the negative stuff than you thought you were. And sometimes you get clear about the work that really needs to be done. I mean, it can be disconcerting because if you find out some things about yourself, then you have some serious choices to make and maybe more work ahead of you than you thought. But that's no reason to back away from it. It's better to be clear and honest with yourself than to be disillusioned, and not have an idea of who you're really dealing with when you're dealing with yourself. So that's your third tool. Get those adjectives, create your baseline, and start to figure out who you really are outside of your head. All right, you've got it. Work that third tool and check back later for your fourth.